There is no such thing as a cheap war. The same goes for Israel. They are spending billions of dollars each day on Operation Racing Lion, a military campaign targeting Iran. Israel is estimated to be spending around $725 million per day on its military operations. This massive cost highlights the scale and complexity of a conflict that has now entered its second week. The figure was revealed by retired Brigadier General Riem Aminoch, a former senior financial advisor to the Chief of Staff of the Israeli Defense Forces. In an interview with Ynet News, Aminoch stated that just the first 48 hours of the war had already cost Israel around $1.45 billion. Out of that amount, approximately $593 million were used for offensive operations such as airstrikes, ammunition, and deployment of fighter jets, including the costly F-35s. The rest of the budget was allocated to defensive systems like Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow, and the mobilization of reserve forces. Much of the financial pressure comes from Israel's heavy reliance on expensive missile defense. According to the Wall Street Journal, Israel is spending up to $200 million per day just on anti-missile operations. Such costs could severely limit the length of its conflict with Iran. Since the clashes began on June 13th, Iran has launched over 500 ballistic missiles into Israeli territory. This has forced Tel Aviv to deploy its entire air defense arsenal, including Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow. Each interception using the Arrow system costs around $4 million. David's Sling requires approximately $700,000 per missile. Meanwhile, Israel's F-35 fighter jets cost around $10,000 per flight hour. These numbers, shared by Aminoch, were also confirmed by Yossi Kupawasser, a researcher at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv. With daily strikes and constant interceptions, the expenses are rapidly increasing. Aminoch emphasized that these are just direct costs. He added that indirect costs, such as civilian infrastructure damage, loss of productivity, and the impact on GDP, cannot yet be fully measured at this stage. Iranian missiles that managed to breach Israeli airspace caused significant destruction. One of the most symbolic targets was the Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot. A missile strike on June 14th destroyed 3 main buildings and damaged 45 laboratories. The estimated loss reached $570 million. A spokesperson for the institute stated that the damage was not just about infrastructure. Years of research, irreplaceable samples, and rare materials were lost in the attack. In Haifa, the Bazan oil complex was hit on June 16th. This facility produces 60% of Israel's diesel and half of its gasoline supply. The Iranian strike rendered the plant inoperable and killed 3 workers. In addition, about 15,000 homes were damaged. The Israeli Tax Authority has recorded 9,900 compensation claims so far. Israel's Ministry of Finance had previously set a fiscal deficit cap of 4.9% GDP, or around $27.6 billion for the year. However, most of the country's emergency reserve funds have already been drained by the war in Gaza. Now, the ongoing conflict with Iran is expected to place even more strain on the national budget. Officials have been forced to revise Israel's projected GDP growth for 2025 from 4.3% down to 3.6%. Economists warn that while Israel's economy can absorb short-term shocks, a prolonged war could inflict lasting damage. Rising military costs, disrupted commercial activities, and psychological stress on the population may significantly burden future economic growth. So far, there is no clear sign of an end in sight. This was noted by an analyst speaking to the newspaper Haaretz. The longer this war drags on, the harder it will be for Israel to maintain economic stability without cutting essential public services. The scale of spending has already led economists to warn that this war is far more expensive than previous conflicts with Gaza or Hezbollah. The key factor is duration. If the war continues for a month, the cost could reach $12 billion. That's according to Karnat Flug, former governor of the Bank of Israel. And again, that's only if it lasts 1 month. By comparison, the war in Gaza, which lasts about 3 years, reportedly cost $67 billion. The pressure isn't only domestic. International companies like Maersk have suspended operations at Haifa port due to security risks. Meanwhile, major sectors such as energy are facing paralysis. Israel's financial markets may appear stable for now, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces a difficult dilemma. Either continue the campaign to weaken Iran's nuclear program or find a swift exit strategy amid growing financial pressure. In such a situation, it is perhaps no surprise that Israel's only hope to end the war quickly may be to draw the United States into the battlefield. In the end, modern warfare is not just fought with missiles, tanks, or advanced fighter jets. It is also waged through economics, diplomacy, and the resilience of a nation's people and institutions. While Israel possesses one of the most sophisticated militaries in the world, the true challenge may not lie in its arsenal, but in its ability to sustain a prolonged conflict, financially, socially, and politically. With billions of dollars being spent each week, every strike, every interception, and every hour of flight comes at a massive cost, one that stretches far beyond the battlefield. The longer this war continues, the more the country's economy, public services, and civilian well-being are placed under pressure. And though Israel has demonstrated strength and determination in the face of attacks, even the strongest systems have limits. As international companies withdraw, infrastructure is damaged, and GDP forecasts are downgraded, the true cost of war begins to reveal itself, not only in dollars, but in lost research, broken families, economic uncertainty, and a population living under constant threat. Israel's leaders now face a pivotal choice. Continue a campaign that seeks to eliminate the threat posed by Iran's growing influence and capabilities, or pursue a diplomatic path that may offer a quicker end to the bloodshed, albeit at the cost of perceived security or political leverage. At the heart of it all lies one undeniable truth. Wars are easier to start than to finish, and as history has often shown, the question is never just whether a nation can win a war, but whether it can afford to keep fighting it. In this conflict, time is not only measured in days, but in dollars, lives, and national endurance. And for Israel, the window to find a sustainable resolution may be closing faster than anyone expected.